Hey, good morning. Thanks for joining me for Morning Manna. Technically still the morning on this Thursday, November morning. It's 11:30, so it's just squeaking in technically on the morning time. So thank you. And today I'd like us to look to blow off the dust perhaps of the majorest, that being the largest, just in the scope of sheer words, of the minor prophets, and that, of course, would be Hosea. Hosea. So, as you're blowing the dust or looking at the table of contents in Hosea, the last chapter, that would be chapter 14, even the last couple of verses. So, as you're getting there, I enjoy this time of the year. It's kind of a love, oh, I hate to use the word hate, but a love anxiety time of the year. As many of you know, and are many like uh, like tempered, we we dread to see the summer season depart. All sorts of things about it. All sorts of just delightful things about the summer. But one of the joys in the transition into the brisk winter time is the changing of the leaves. And some years more spectacular than others. And I've never lived nor even visited the Northeast, where I hear the color is just marvelous. The Northeast of the United States. I've always lived in the West Coast, where the color is not so dramatic, or even the deserts or the Pacific Islands, where there's not much color change, a lot of color, but not change. But in this area at this time of the year, it's I just delight. In fact, my wife and I went out for a little drive the other day just to look at the trees, just to drive through, look just to look at the trees to the neighborhoods and the hills here in this Yamhill County, and we just delighted seeing the various hues of orange and yellow and reds and so forth this transition time. But the leaves, should the Lord tarry, the leaves will continue to blow off the tree and fall off the trees. And then the buds will begin. And again, should the Lord tarry, the leaves will unroll and unfoil into their magnificent green and shade and luster of summer. And the cycle will continue again with a lovely autumn setting. There will be change. There's change, and that's unchanging. There's change, but the change is different. And for some of us, the change is of great joy. For others, changes can be very, very discouraging, even disheartening. But I'd like to, now that you've blown the dust off Hosea, with that in mind, Hosea concludes his writing here regarding Ephraim. This would be the major tribe of Israel. We won't go into the history of Hosea at this point in time. But look at this verse carefully with me. We'll just kind of walk through it just slowly with a couple of highlights. Ephraim, the largest tribe at that time, northern Israel. So Ephraim shall say. Look at this is future tense. Some versions use the word will say, but shall say, will say. It's regardless. It's future. Ephraim shall say, "What have I to do anymore with idols?" Wasn't saying it right then, but shall say. That time will come. Who says so? The Lord says so. The Lord says so. Hosea may not see this, but Hosea is confident by the words of the Lord that Ephraim shall say, "What have I to do any more with idols?" Ephraim will be weary of idolatry, will be weary of sin. Who is prudent? Excuse me. I've heard and observed him. I'm like a green cypress tree. Your fruit is found in me. Reminds me, what shall I have any more to do with idols? In the Gospel of Luke, chapter 15, well-known story, Jesus tells it. And in the middle of the story of what we know as the prodigal son, the prodigal, I'll insert that title there for him, verse 17. When he came to himself, he said, "How many of my father's hired servants have bread enough to spare, and I perish with hunger? I will arise and go to my father." It did happen. it did happen. Jesus gives this wonderful story of truth. There will be a time where the prodigal is even in the depths, the son is even in the depths of the pig pen. But it says in that Luke 15:17 verse again, when he came to himself, when he came to his senses, is how another version chooses to depict that. There will be a time. And that's what we see in Hosea here, back in Hosea 14. Ephraim shall say, what have I to do anymore with idols? And then in verse 9, Hosea concludes, who is wise? Let him understand these things. Who is prudent? Let him know. For the ways of the Lord are right. The righteous walk in them. The transgressors stumble in them. But I want to underscore the way of the Lord, the ways of the Lord are right. The psalmist says in Psalm 107, verse 43, whoever is wise will observe these things, and they will understand the loving kindness of the Lord. Notice that future tense again here. Whoever is wise, present tense, will observe these things, and they will, future tense, understand the loving kindness of the Lord. He's always loving kind. He's always gracious and merciful and full of compassion and corrective and lovingly corrective and helpful and so good to us. So concluding here, Isaiah 55:11. So shall my word be that goes forth from my mouth. It shall not return to me void, but it shall accomplish what I please, and it shall prosper in the thing which I sent it. See that future tense again there? It shall. So many of us with various episodes and issues and concerns and stumblings and bumblings and watching others stumble and bumble, we can just have confidence in the Lord, his loving kindness. For the ways of the Lord are right. Just like you see the changes of the leaves, let that remind you that circumstances change. The Lord, he doesn't. He's in charge. God bless you this day.